Welcome to episode 172 of Informed Choice Radio, where I speak to Canna Campbell, founder of SugarMamma TV.
History shows that human endeavour prevails. The markets over the long run definitely increase. And often those, what we deem as, catastrophes or crises, often present golden opportunities. Financial knowledge and, being financially responsible is another form of overall health and fitness. You've got to be engaged to your goals. So you've got to have passion, you've got to have intention, you've got to have long-term commitment. If you don't have those, you'll lose interest, you'll get distracted and you'll drift.
From Sundial House Studios in Cranley, welcome to Informed Choice Radio. This is the podcast all about achieving your financial goals in life. Here's your host, Martin Bamford.
As a podcaster, I'm obsessed with stats. We host Informed Choice Radio with a fantastic service called Libsyn, and I visit their website on a regular basis to check on our download figures. A couple of weeks ago, I delved a little deeper into those stats and discovered something. As well as the number of downloads for the show and individual episodes, I was able to see where our listeners were downloading episodes from. Unsurprisingly, most of our downloads come from right here in the United Kingdom. We are, after all, a UK personal finance podcast. After that, our second biggest audience comes from the United States. During the past year, we featured several guests from the US, and across the pond, personal finance podcasting is really popular, so no real surprises there either. But our third biggest country for episode downloads did surprise me a little. It's Australia. Nearly 4% of Informed Choice Radio downloads come from down under. So I reached out to my friend Susie Munro from Sixpence Media on the Sunshine Coast in Queensland, Australia, and I asked her this simple question: who are the top personal finance experts in Australia? Susie kindly gave me 5 names, and I'm pleased today to introduce our first Australian guest on Informed Choice Radio. Canna Campbell is a financial planner and money vlogger from Sydney, Australia. She's founder of SugarMamma TV, which serves not only as an educational platform for everyone to access her knowledge, experience, and information, but to more importantly inspire you to believe in yourself and empower you to step up to the plate. SugarMamma TV is filmed inside Canna's home in Sydney. It often features her 2 dogs, Giuseppe and Sofia, and her cheeky son, Rocco. In her videos, Canna shares everything that you need to know today, which will help you to create a future where money is not an issue, but a powerful tool which you use and respect to create the future which you deserve and crave. In this episode of Informed Choice Radio, I speak to Canna about the inspiration behind SugarMamma TV, how to get rid of credit card debt quickly, her $1,000 project to create passive income and financial independence, financial literacy in Australia, and Australia's economic position in the world. You can find the show notes, full transcript, and useful links for this episode at icradio.co.uk. If you enjoy listening, please do let me know on Twitter at Martin Bamford. Please say thank you also to Canna on Twitter at YourSugarMamma. Welcome to SugarMamma with Canna Campbell in episode 172 of Informed Choice Radio. I'm delighted to welcome to Informed Choice Radio today Canna Campbell, founder of SugarMamma TV. Hi Canna, how are you?
Hi, how are you?
Great, thank you. Could you start by telling our listeners a bit about you and about your background?
Okay, so I'm actually a financial planner and I've been running my own practice, SAS Financial, for about, 11 or 12 years now. I've lost count. And I started up a YouTube channel for people who couldn't access financial advice, whether it be because they couldn't afford it or they found it too intimidating or they were interested in learning how to educate themselves around money and have a better and healthier relationship with money. So SugarMamma TV is my YouTube account that has bite-sized videos with all sorts of subjects around money and managing cash flow and debt and building passive income and setting yourself up financially, as well as a whole range of other lifestyle subjects such as minimalism, capsule wardrobe, fashion, time management, or a whole range of different things.
And what prompted you to get involved in personal finance? Have you always had quite a commercial mindset?
Yes, I remember as a little girl making shoes out of paper and trying to sell them to my parents, and having a cookie stall at the end of my driveway to sell to the builders next door. So I've always had an interest in being independent and building something and having something of my own that I'm proud of. So I definitely have had. I've always had a genuine interest. My father actually got me into investing when I was about 19, when I was saving all my tips from working part-time behind a bar when I was studying at university, and the tips added up, and he was horrified to find how much cash I had in the house. So as soon as he found out about it, he just took me to the bank, we deposited it, and that money was invested. And that's when I had my first aha moment when it came to investing, because I got my first dividend check.
That's always a nice reward, isn't it, for investing? And what prompted you to start SugarMamma TV? What was the spark of inspiration behind that? I
had an interest for a while. I'd been watching I'd heard about a few YouTubers doing makeup tutorials, and thought, I wonder if there'd be interest, whether it'd be possible to do something like this around money. But I always thought, working for myself, running my own business. At the time, I was trying to have a baby. I was also renovating my house, 2 dogs. I thought, I don't have time for this. But then I picked up a client, Chloe Morello, who's a world-famous YouTuber who does makeup, and she actually was the one that really gave me the initial kick and said, no, girls, you're looking after me. I've learned so much from you. Other girls need to know this. This is really important. And she gave me that kick and that inspiration and motivation to go out and set up SugarMamma TV. And it's been an incredible journey and experience. And I'm eternally grateful for Chloe, because it wasn't for her because of her encouragement. That's what really pushed me over the edge to go and do it.
And I've been watching a few of your videos in preparation for this conversation, and I saw one of the most popular downloaded ones is all about how to get rid of credit card debt really quickly. So what steps do you recommend for people who find themselves with loads of credit card debt and they want to get rid of it?
Okay. It's funny, if you were to Google how to get out of credit card debt, my advice actually goes against the grain. Typically, they recommend that you pay off the debt with the highest interest first. I take a different approach, and I look at more of the psychology around money. I actually recommend, first of all, you write a list of exactly who you owe money to and exactly how much. You do a budget, so you work out, how to manage your cash flow, and then you work out how you can make extra repayments. You set minimum repayments for each of those debts, so that you're keeping those people happy. But you focus all your energy on reducing the smallest debt first. And the reason behind that is if it will help you build momentum, because when you've got lots of debt and to lots of different people, it's like juggling balls. But if you can quickly get as many balls out of the air as quickly as possible, you'll build up speed and momentum. And I believe from experience in coaching people out of debt, this is a much faster way, because you can actually see that you are getting ahead financially rather than just taking forever to, a bottomless pit of paying down debt and not getting anywhere. But when you see that you're actually, extinguishing the people that you owe money to, and you're working through the list a lot quicker, energy flows where attention goes, you'll be more engaged and a lot more active. So you need to do a budget, you need to focus on the smallest one first, and then try and manifest and create money beyond the limitations of your cash flow. So do things to help come up with extra cash that you can then pay towards that debt and make extra payments and get it paid off as quickly as possible. And don't stop until it's all gone.
I think that's so important, what you were saying there about the psychology of money, and how sometimes we can look at the hard facts, we can look at the science, can't we? But actually, if you get the psychology right, you can make much more progress and just really sort of stick behind your goals.
Absolutely. You've got to be engaged to your goals. So you've got to have passion, you've got to have intention, you've got to have long-term commitment. If you don't have those, you'll lose interest, you'll get distracted, and you'll drift. So and this is why I say to people, people say, oh, what's the best thing to do? And I'm like, it doesn't matter I can tell you what the best thing to do is, but it doesn't really matter, because if you don't want to do this, it's not going to work. So why don't you tell me what's real, what makes you excited, what makes you feel connected and fulfilled and aligns to your value system? Then let's work out what the best thing is.
Absolutely. And you started the $1,000 project. So can you tell us what that involves and how's it going?
So I started it in September 2015, and I gave myself a 12-month challenge. And I wanted to prove to people that you don't have to put self-imposed limitations on your financial situation just because of what you earn. I was sick of hearing people say, oh, I only earn $40,000 a year, I can't afford to invest, or I can't afford to get out of debt, or I can't afford to save. I've seen so many people achieve incredible financial goals on very humble salaries. So what the challenge was to create money, like manifest money, attract money, build money outside of my salary and my savings. And every time I did this, every time I manifested $1,000, I would go and invest that money. And so I did a whole range of weird things and normal things as well. I sold things on eBay. I sold things on Gumtree. I learned to say no to things. So occasionally, where there was, some friends going to a very expensive restaurant for dinner, I'd simply say, I'm going to miss this one out because I'm trying to save, or I'm trying to invest. Or I suggest that my friends, we do something cheaper, or have my friends over for dinner to my place. I did market research. I took on extra projects that I would do on the weekend in my spare time. I rented my house out on Airbnb a few times. I used some of my tax refund. And over the course of those 12 months, I managed to save and then invest $32,000. Wow. And that every time I had $1,000, I bought some shares, and on the Australians, bought some shares and ETFs. And that portfolio was generating an estimated passive income of around $1,750 a year. So I wanted this to inspire people to then start looking at passive income, because that's what defines true financial freedom. And that money was then actually donated to charity, and it went to the Gidget Foundation.
That's incredible, and such good progress in 12 months. And I guess the plan is to repeat that again and again, and the power of compounding means that over time it becomes an even higher amount of passive income.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And the dividends are reinvested now, so the portfolio is naturally growing. I had to take a little bit of a break because it wasn't an easy challenge. There are times where I was, pulling my hair out and getting a little disheartened, as is anything great that's worth striving to achieve. But it restarted again in October. And I'm already on my way to continuing on with the journey. And my goal is now to have the portfolio by October this year generating a passive income of $4,000 a year.
Fantastic. And again, from watching your videos, I understand that handbags play a role in your goal setting and rewarding yourself for staying on target. So how does that work?
Okay. The handbag thing is a bit of a marketing thing. My passion is handbags. I love beautiful handbags. It's my weakness. I love beautiful, well-made bags, and I buy one beautiful handbag for myself if I've achieved my financial goals and my personal growth goals each year. But what I want to do is to try and, particularly girls and women, to try and, because there is a huge thirst for women to learn more about money and understand more about money and create a stronger, healthier relationship with money and building financial wealth for themselves. I use the concept of building a passive income that pays for a designer handbag each year. So that was the marketing campaign. So whenever I do a post on my website, I have a handbag professionally shot as part of the marketing campaign. But and that was the initial goal behind it. But I realized, I don't need another handbag. I can buy a handbag out of my own money. I think this is better served with the money going to charity. And as long as I can afford to keep doing this every year, that passive income, I will donate to charity.
Fantastic. And you're talking there about passive income, and the way you've created passive income through the $1,000 project is to buy shares which pay a dividend income. For somebody wanting to get started, is that the best way, or are there other ways of creating a passive income?
There are lots of ways. You need to work out what is the best way for you. Look, there's, another form of passive income is rental income off an investment property. It's interest off a bank account. Passive income is essentially money that you earn while you sleep at night. You don't physically do anything to earn that money. So whether you're sitting on a beach in Tahiti or, asleep in your bed at night, that income comes in regardless. It's your money working for you.
And our listeners, I guess, would have worked out by now you're from Australia. So I'm speaking to you in Sydney at the moment, where it's 9 o'clock in the morning, and over here in the UK it's 10 o'clock at night. I understand, though, you were born in London. You lived here in the UK for a while before you moved to Australia. How do you think that people's approach to personal finance differs between Australia and the UK? And is there a good level of financial literacy in Australia?
I think financial literacy is slowly changing. I can definitely say it is here. I lived in England until I was about 10 and a half. My brother actually still lives my brother has moved back to London and still lives there. But from talking to, looking at my analytics of my website, looking at speaking to, because I do Skype consultations with people around the world, I would say the level of financial literacy is pretty similar, between Australia and the UK. But I definitely think it's growing. I think people are really starting to open up a natural interest in understanding money more. And because it's, we spend so much time and money, focusing on our health. Going to the gym, exercising, trying to eat healthier, trying to, do things like meditation, natural therapies, massages, take better care, offer better forms of self-love. Financial knowledge and, being financially responsible is another form of overall health and fitness.
Yeah, I have to agree with that entirely. Do you see any cultural differences, though, between Australia and other countries where you're doing the Skype consultations, for example, at people's attitudes towards debt?
To be honest, no. I mean, I've seen such an interesting mix. I don't think I can categorize people, dependent on where they live or their background. I mean, I've spoken to people from the UK with huge spending habits. I've spoken to people from Canada with very humble, responsible, wise approaches to money. Like, there's no pigeonholing at all. It's such a variety of different attitudes and approaches.
And then finally, thinking about Australia's position in the world, what impact do you think that global events like the election of Donald Trump in the US and Brexit here in the UK are going to have on markets and currency and personal finances in general in Australia?
A really great question. I very much focus on the long run. If you look at, the stock markets around the world, and you plot them over, say, a 30-year time frame, and you look at all the political, economic, environmental, healthcare impacts that have happened both locally and internationally, and you stretch out the impact that it's had, and you look back, history shows that human endeavour prevails. The markets over the long run definitely increase, and often those what we deem as catastrophes or crises often present golden opportunities to really to invest, to build your wealth, to leverage, to experience exponential growth. But you need to take, when you're investing in things like the share market, you need to understand exactly what you're doing. You need to be, have a diversified portfolio, and you need to understand, investing for the long run, and have that willpower and that self-control to make wise and sensible decisions when these things happen. So often when, there is, for example, Brexit, there was a lot of concern about that and the impact, and the Australian market actually ended up recovering really quickly once that news came out, and the shock kind of died down and it was more seen as a knee-jerk reaction. There was a great buying opportunity. So what I say to my clients is, these events will happen and they will continue to happen. There is no doubt about it. it's not, smooth sailing ahead. We're always, particularly with social media, with the internet, digital communication, with the volatility, you probably get more dramatic, but there are the opportunities, and that is when you either learn to sit on your hands and do nothing and stick to your long-term goal and your long-term strategy, or you use the opportunities to potentially buy more. Kind of like a stock take clearance sale. You can pick up, you get more value for money.
Canna, thank you so much for your time as a guest on Informed Choice Radio today. Really do appreciate it. Before you go, how can our listeners find out more about you and how can they get in touch?
Absolutely. You can head to my website, which is SugarMamma, and it's the Italian spelling of mama, so SugarMamma.tv, where I house all my YouTube videos, or you can just head directly to the YouTube website and subscribe there. You can also follow me on Instagram at SugarMamma.tv and like me on Facebook. And and you people can book in for online Skype consultations with me if they want to have a chat to me and talk about their own financial goals or their own journey. I'm here to help, and I also am always open to video requests as well. Most of my video content comes from my followers, where they say, "Hey, Canna, can you talk about this, or can you do a video on this, or I'm interested in hearing about that." So I'm really engaged with my followers and subscribers.
That's fantastic. We'll make sure we link to all of those in the show notes so our listeners can find that nice and easily. I do encourage them to subscribe, particularly to your YouTube channel. Really have enjoyed watching some of your videos over the past few days. Canna, thanks for your time. That was wonderful.
Thank you so much for having me. Lovely chatting with you.
Thank you to Canna for appearing as a guest on Informed Choice Radio today. One slight downside of interviewing guests in Australia, which Matt and I didn't really think about until after we'd started scheduling these interviews, is the 11-hour time difference between London and Sydney. What this meant in practical terms was either a very late night or a very early morning in order to catch Canna at her desk. Now, I'm not a morning person. The thought of getting out of the house before 9 a.m. fills me with dread. So for this interview, I stayed up way past my bedtime, heading back into the office last Tuesday night and connecting with Canna over Skype at 10 p.m, which was 9 a.m. in Sydney. But I hope you agree it was worth the late night to hear from Canna and get her insights. What was your favourite part of that conversation? Do let me know on Twitter at Martin Bamford or in the comments section in the show notes for this episode at icradio.co.uk. That's also where you can find useful links and the full transcript for this episode. Please do say thank you to Canna on Twitter too. You can find her there at YourSugarMamma. Please also subscribe to Canna's YouTube channel, SugarMamma TV, and check out her Instagram too. All of those links, of course, in the show notes for this episode. I would also love your review of Informed Choice Radio on iTunes, Stitcher, or anywhere else you get your podcasts. Visit icradio.co.uk/iTunes or icradio.co.uk/Stitcher. That will take you straight to our pages on those platforms where you can leave your rating and review. Thank you for listening to this episode, and thank you for your continued support of this podcast. Until next time, I've been Martin Bamford, and this has been Informed Choice Radio. And remember, when it comes to your money, the more you know, the faster it can grow.